Good afternoon, my name's Iola C. Williams if we're being formal. Apologies because we haven't been able to go live, but we were determined to record this for you and bring you the presentation that we plan to do entitled Outrage Marketing, Why Black Love in Business is Crucial. So we are here and we are doing it on a video recording, so you can watch it anytime you want, wherever, the same as live. So my name is Iola C. Williams, and I am the owner of 1111 Communications, which is a cultural communications consultancy specialising in public relations, marketing communications and events. And I'm here with my sister friend, the amazing, wonderful Nicola.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicola A Millington. I am the founder of FP Comms, and FP Comms is what I call an ethical marketing PR agency. We focus on building legacy brands, so we think about long-term strategies to help businesses hold on to their identity from a positive point of view, but also to serve the community globally.
Excellent.
So, we've got much to talk about, right, Iola?
We've got quite a lot to talk about, but we're going to try and make it as succinct as possible. A little bit snivelly this afternoon. Hope you guys are well. The sun has been beautiful.
Yes.
And we're in a good mood and we're in a good spirits, and we're not going to let anything, not even technology, get us down. So we're going to run it like it's live and post this on our Facebook page, the Thursday Club, of which also I forgot to say that Nicola is also a team member. You'll see her down there on Thursday, the 28th, so make sure you put your tickets to our event, which is #BlackLove. The revolution will not be televised. So that's happening this Thursday, the 28th of February, from 7 PM down at the KARIBU Education Centre. So, onwards with our presentation. So, Nicola, it's been a lot of mess. A lot of outrage, not even as of late really. It's been a continuous thing that we've seen over the last, it's been happening.
It's a lifelong habit, I think, but it's now becoming more prevalent because we've got more social media, more news, and also people are becoming more aware. And there's triggers that has actually encouraged us to be more vocal, especially Iola, actually with 1111 Communications. We've become more vocal about how we can better counteract the negative, outrageous marketing strategies that big brands are taking today to cause, and we will discuss the causes.
Yes, so we're not going to name said brands, we all know who they are. Just to set the scene, more recently, as I said, this has been going on for decades, to be honest with you, in terms of these campaigns, triggering our emotions. That's what good marketing does, that's what good comms does. It's about connecting humanly, so there will be a trigger of emotions, usually positive, but it seems like, these big brands have cottoned onto the fact that there is, a huge benefit in actually targeting the black community and actually triggering their emotions negatively. So what has been known previously as negative marketing, back in the day used to have like Purcell versus Daz and Sainsbury's versus Tesco's, and they were up until a certain point not allowed in advertising to compete openly like that in terms of their campaigns, and then they became quite aggressive in some respects in terms of pitching against one another, saying this is better than that, and so on and so forth. So that is kind of something that we've been used to seeing, if you want to call it negative marketing, some people call it that, with regards to that style of strategy. Now what we're seeing is this outrage marketing, which has actually become quite a thing, not just necessarily in terms of the black or marginalised communities, ethnic minority communities, but it's definitely been prevalent. And what we've seen more recently are the campaign with the noose, the high fashion label using a noose in their designs. We've seen it also with Blackface jumper. We've seen it with the hoodies, the monkey hoodies. We can go on, to be fair. We can go on. Even with the Christmas holiday campaign, with the Black Mother, again, triggering an emotion that was a negative trigger, a negative emotional trigger for the black community. and Black Twitter is really good at jumping on there and, you know,
raising awareness, I guess.
Raising awareness.
Yeah, raising awareness. But I think one thing we have to be very, very clear of is before, when brands, and myself and iOla are speaking definitely from experts as PR marketing, before when brands would, let's say Daz and Persil were competing, they were looking for financial gain. Now where you have collateral and actual benefit through social media following, mentions, sharing, that's where a lot of the collateral or the benefits comes from those brands. They want to be spoken about more. And so they're using these tactics, outrage marketing, not just to drive traffic to their stores or to their online platforms to purchase, but you have a value as a consumer with that click or that share. It helps with their search engine optimization, and in some cases it helps actually. There's an element of value on the stock market that brands can gain through the online interaction they're getting from the consumers. So your actions are actually having financial benefits even if you're not purchasing the product.
If you think about it in terms of, you know, if you see a brand and they've got a higher star rating or they're just more popular, you know, and it's all about, you know, a popularity contest essentially. So, you know, the bigger the brand appears, you know, their following and so on and so forth, then the more that you'll kind of gravitate towards them, because like, oh, well, everybody else is kind of doing that, let's follow that trend, or they must be good because you're seeing the numbers. And we are often, and even when it's a negative conversation, you know, one thing that happens is that, you know, news dies out and then people forget, you know. So even if in the event, say that their sales, which anecdotal data has actually shown usually increases, you know, in the event where in some cases, few cases that we've seen where the sales have dropped, or, you know, quite significantly after a campaign, which I've seen maybe a couple, you know, after a certain period of time, and, you know, it may be months, it may be further down that year, it will start to gradually rise again, as often the market does. So it's not a case of, you know, damaging them financially. In fact, you know, if you think proportionately in terms of the spend of the, or the power, I don't like to use the power spend, I don't think there's any power in spending, you know, the buying power, if you want to say, for want of a better expression, of the Black community, they're actually not really speaking to us. If you think about it, they're just trying to get a reaction out of us. They're not saying, hey, we're doing this because we want you to buy from us. No, we're doing this so that you can make noise about it, so that you can share it and make us go viral, which often happens. You know, so we've got a few steps that we want to take you through, which might sound very simple, but sometimes it's about just taking it back to basics and actually applying these very simple steps before reacting, because what we don't want to do is to continue to react. So Nicola,
so we're going to break them down to 3 very simple steps: think, decipher, and then respond. So obviously we'll start at the beginning with think. So the one thing is, before you get involved, if that's the right word to put, the right way to describe it, before you get involved,
or take action, any action.
Don't just read the headline. Read the entire article. If you want to learn and educate yourself and see trends and understand why or what is happening, read through the information that you're receiving, not just take the headline and then act straight away. Just take a moment to go through the information that you are receiving.
Yes. And just to follow up on that note, I think that's not even I know this is something that we just don't tend to do. You know, generally speaking, a lot of us don't tend to read things. We kind of read the headlines, you know, hence why the popularity of, you know, visual platforms like Instagram, for example, because you don't have to read too much, are you know, on the ever increase. So just take a time to read something, you know, and if you need to, you know, do your own research into, okay, what is the background behind this before you then go and share. because the next point is decipher. And Nicola and I put that because we understand that not in all cases, it will be a case of this was an intentional tactic to, disrupt or disturb or upset a particular community, because there are sometimes innocent mistakes that are made, and also even if that's a case of ignorance, it may be a case that, okay, well, they don't have, any members of that particular community or group on their teams, which in this day and age, it's not really acceptable. But for fairness' sake, if you like, we'll say, it's important to decipher, especially I think more so when it's a case of an individual. So, for example, if it's a celebrity that has triggered this outrage, in a particular community, i.e. the black community that we're speaking on now. But in the case of where it's an actual brand, then there isn't oftentimes much excuse. They really should have the resources, the intelligence, the resources, as I said, in terms of, the same information that we have out there in terms of, getting the right consultants and even just being privy to what's happened before, so the noose campaign would have known about the other campaign and so on and so forth, and the trigger and effect that it's had. So it's actually a little bit difficult to kind of give them that leeway to say, well, I'm going to decipher that this is actually an innocent mistake of sheer ignorance, and then let's now use this as an opportunity to educate them.
And I'd say that the idea that actually you respond to just reading the headline and then sharing things is not something that's unique just to us as a community. There is the terminology called clickbait. A lot of vloggers and journalists use this for you to encourage you to click. Now, the aim initially was for you to click to open up and read the whole story. Now what you have is that people want digestible 140 character kind of pieces of information. So it's not unique just to us, but this particular scenario is they're using this for bad instead of good, if you want, for a better word. And as iOla mentioned as well, you have to decipher within the context of what research you've done on the background. So sometimes, and we relate this, even as PR expert, relate this to human behaviour. Sometimes people will do an action, and that action can be interpreted by two different ways, depending on the person that's delivering it, the person that's receiving it, right? And so sometimes you have to research the intention of the brand that's put out that message.
The integrity of the brand.
Have they got a history of this? Has there been a change in their business? All those different things before we jump on the bandwagon and say we will write them off or we will move them forward.
On that note, in terms of has there been a change, it's also important to look at the timing of these outrage marketing strategies. A lot of the times when they happen is when something else has happened with their competitor. I think we had this case with the recent outrage and backlash of with the case of Snapchat. There was an anime filter that was found to be bordering racist with its sort of yellow filter, and that it was reported that that Facebook had also released something. Sorry, not Facebook. Instagram had released a new feature, and so it was a case of Snapchat, who has had a steady decline since Instagram's been around, trying to grab attention by causing this outrage in announcing or producing this particular filter. So it's always important just to look around, and I always say, even on my personal status, what else is happening? News is there to grab attention. And sometimes it can be a lot of propaganda. So you have to decipher for yourself and research and see what else is going on, literally reading between the lines or behind the lines or the side of the lines, Don't always look at the timing of things and what else is actually going on, because oftentimes there'll be something else happening that's affecting the community or, a community or in the world, in politics or something that they just are trying to kind of distract you from. So very important to look at the timing of what else is happening around you.
And I think again in certain, sorry, I should stop saying I think. I know.
She knows.
I know that in society as we evolve in this social media way and behaviour, it is actually important that we, and I use the we as a global we as a human beings and also global we as a black community, take a pause before we do take action.
Yes.
It really is imperative that we do that. And we see that because there's certain situations which, let's take away for a second, marketing, just for a short while. We have seen incidences in the news where people jump on the bandwagon, helping or defending a situation, and then find out that they're not sure if the situation is correct, and then they find out the situation is not as it seems to be.
Right.
If everyone had stayed quiet for a bit to get all of the information and then articulate how they're feeling accordingly, then it would be better for us as a society. But we sometimes get a little bit carried away.
We do. We react, and this is about the third stage, which is respond. So we've got think, decipher, and respond. Very, very simple, very straightforward, but a lot of the time we just don't pause enough to even do that. We just think, oh, wow, okay, let me share that, and it's circulated far and wide, and you'll be amazed at the power of a hashtag, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the power of and effectiveness of just that share and how far it can go, particularly when we're using things like Facebook mediums or WhatsApp. So in responding, the first point that we'll say is not to talk about. If you've decided that from your deciphering that this is actually an actual strategy, a premeditated strategy to cause outrage, like the ones that we've seen more recently, then as I said on my recent Facebook post, if you know, then you really shouldn't feel the need to tell other people that you know. Sometimes it's more powerful to actually, it is more powerful to actually be and do as you know. Knowing is doing. So I would really urge you not to then go and definitely not mention said brand to give them more, because even if you're not necessarily sharing the direct link, which I have seen a lot of people sharing links of reports that have reported on the outrage. So it's actually counteractive, because what you're doing is then just perpetuating and just sharing, sharing negative energy, not just and negative news, and actually giving them more. You're doing exactly the same thing that we're saying not to do, because that's the point of their outrage campaign. So don't mention the brand. Firstly, if you really feel compelled to mention the brand, then mention it in code, and don't share any news links directly connected to it. But algorithms and technology is so sophisticated nowadays that even when, as I said, why it's important not to use the links, because even when you're not mentioning them directly and you've shared a link, then that's
also counterproductive. Yeah,
exactly. So first thing is, as I said, don't mention them.
The second thing is, I'm a great believer in leveraging negativity to your positive.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on the negativity of the outrage, many of us, and we have seen this especially with women in business, there's an incline of female entrepreneurship.
Yay!
And women in business, or black people in general and people in general are doing really well, but they need as many voices as possible to promote them across the board.
Yeah.
And it's imperative again for us to seek those and say, right, instead of using this one, use this one. It's kind of like there's stories about finding X kind of brand. These are the 20 top fashion labels you can support. So find the positive in the situation and leverage that, as use the negative to leverage and promote the positive. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, so just to follow on what Nicola was saying, this has been done particularly well, and I'm going to shout out Shop Black, which is a platform, a news media platform in the space in the States, but covers, globally, sort of black news, black businesses, and it also has a directory. We've got many fantastic platforms here as well, like UK Black owned, but as I said, Shop Black are excellent at doing what Nicola just said, leveraging, basically. So you leverage the news, and instead of actually mentioning them, there's no word or mention of said incident or said outrage campaign, they'll literally just say, well, okay, here are 15 black-owned luxury brands for you to follow. So just literally providing an alternative and leveraging off of the campaign that's just been released. They may even want to use the hashtag and create another hashtag in support of the actual positive response. So, you know, they've done that excellently. Do please go and check out their page, because you'll see what exactly that we are referring to, as well as you'll get to click on all those fantastic, amazing black-owned brands from around the world. So, yeah.
And I would also hasten to add that actually the alternatives shouldn't be just a case of an identification of black-owned brands. They are really good quality, because we speak of quality and value.
Yes.
And one of the major concerns is that we don't believe as a community that we have that level of quality and value within our community. There are some amazing designers out there that are producing and creating clothing that previous generations have worn and we've purchased, and that will last you just as long as any other designer label out there.
Absolutely.
So you know, there is definitely a value in shining a light, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. If there's any time that's perfect for me, I find this a perfect opportunity to use a negative to promote a positive.
Absolutely. So, you know, just echoing, again, I'm echoing Nicola today, but just to reinforce the point, which I say, just, you know, this is probably another topic altogether, another video, and maybe even another live, when we get the chance to do that.
When we get one, yeah.
When we get a live, yeah, again. To really kind of, you know, look at the way that we value ourselves, the way that we value our brands. And this all comes back down to self-love, and this is something that we'll be discussing at the event
on Thursday.
On Thursday, because while we talk about Black Clever Business, because this is a direct, our outrage has a direct implication on how, you know, our small businesses do as well. So this is a great opportunity for you actually to quote unquote big them up and actually, you know, shine a light on them, basically using that campaign. But anyway, let's move on, because we said that. But one last point under the banner of think, decipher and respond. If you feel compelled to share this this outrage that you feel and this news, you know, just for the sake of whatever, you know, sometimes it's just a case of, you know,
you want to get it off your chest.
You just want to get it off your chest. That's fine, and you want to let other people know what's going on. Share it by word of mouth. Share it via messenger or message. Share it privately, basically. You don't need to share it publicly. We know, yes, we all love the likes and the loves, and that's all good, but when it's for negativity, then it's counterproductive, as you said. So if you do feel compelled to share privately.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the event coming up on Thursday, and iOla touched upon the point of black love in relationships, and the impact also on our businesses, and how it has an impact on our businesses. And I can speak to that personally. I know that when you're in a better emotional state, and you're in relationships that actually nurture you, your financial situation actually flourishes. Even if you don't even have more money, the way you manage your money and the way you manage your situation becomes better. So this is not just something that relates just to business. This is about you as an individual and the value that you place in yourself as an individual. And I think it's so important to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that will help you to grow and build, like I said before, build legacy in our community and in our life, and help us to move forward.
Absolutely. So just a few examples, actually going back a little bit in terms of, you know, using the power of the hashtag to leverage some, you know, somewhat negative narrative into a positive. Now, particularly in the black community and other communities, Asian, but we're specifically talking about the black community right now. We have a lot of discussion and conversations around colorism, you know, bleaching, you know, light versus dark, and so on and so forth. So, you know, when I was working with Shades of Beauty Live, which is a new hair and beauty show that happened last year on the Notting Hill Carnival Bank Holiday weekend. Look out for SB Live 2019. It's going to be big, so make sure you get your tickets nice and early. But it's, you know, we looked at that and we actually came up with a positive spin to that, and we had hashtag My Shade Matters. Now, it wasn't excluding anybody. It wasn't saying that my shade as a fairer skinned person is better, or my shade as a darker skinned person is better. It wasn't competitive in that sense. It was all encompassing, it was empowering, and it was basically a way for us to leverage the conversations online that tends to be a very kind of, triggery conversation in terms of our emotions. You know, it's very personal. I mean,
dynamic,
things, yeah. You know, historically speaking, even now, you know, in our own families, you know, and how a lot of sometimes, you know, people are treated within their families. It can be quite emotionally triggering conversation. So the hashtag My Shade Matters, you can still see that obviously on Twitter and on Instagram. Was a very successful campaign and actually helped us to gain more PR coverage because there was a concept, you know, and there was a hashtag aligned with said concept, which they always like because then it will help their news to travel even further once they report it on their pages. So, you know, just to say, we can probably have a whole discussion about that, and that's probably more of a kind of a specific workshop type of video. However, you know, leveraging a campaign, a negative campaign, and putting this positive spin on it, sticking a hashtag in front of it, and, you know, a strong visual as well. You know, if you think about it, all of the campaigns that we've seen have triggered an emotion are accompanied with a very strong image. You know, so imagery is also very important as well, you know, if not more so than the actual, you know, press release or whatever way that you decide to release that.
They do say pictures speak 1,000 words.
Yes, it absolutely does. You know, you think about it visually, you kind of just remember seeing that, you know.
What, the French lady with the
blackface, you know. This is my, let me not even go there. Let me not even go there.
That's why I said the French, because I'm looking at the hat.
Oh, yes. So, hashtag campaigns are a brilliant way to leverage positivity and making a spin on things.
And also, as a consumer, again, iOla touched on it earlier on. Try and take things offline as much as possible. These are really great, and they can also be great teaching lessons as well. I mean, I know that we believe we know everything, but it can be a great opportunity to engage with your children and with other people to discuss the things that you can do. Different generations could have different reactionary points of how we can do things better. And so it's really great to take these opportunities, take them offline, and have a human to human.
Yes, and on that note, we will be human to humaning. Face to face is the new social networking, as we say at the Thursday Club. So we are literally doing just that, you know, and I think that's a good place to kind of wrap up, because we are doing that. We are taking the online conversation offline, because sometimes, as we've seen, not in this case of these campaigns, but, you know, things can be misconstrued, things can be read into wrongly, things can be miscommunicated, even, you know, at the best of times when you've written it out, and, you know, it can be misinterpreted. And we have an example of that actually with just another quick example, Natural Nubian Dolls. Now, this is a brand that's born out of, again, you know, a negative situation of colorism, and Joy Biller, the owner, wanting to turn that around and actually empower not just black girls, but, you know, black children and other children, you know, white children, Asian children, to see the beauty in, you know, in blackness, in embracing blackness and African culture. You know, the beautiful dolls of different shades. In any case, there is this famous Dr. Clark doll test that has been, you know, repeated, you know, and kind of done over the years. And what Joy did, but she actually did the test, but she actually decided to reverse it, you know, with having her little girl basically saying that the doll that she preferred was the black doll and that the white doll was ugly. Now, the backlash again, came from, guess who? Guess who?
Black people.
Black people. We were there ready with our warrior social media fingers, thumbs. Not myself, but you know, she had quite a lot of retaliation from that, backlash from Black people who just didn't understand that it was actually a test, but you know, were you know, very outraged with this, her implying that you know, that this black girl shouldn't say that the white girl's bad, and just, you know, not really fully understanding the concept. But then conversely, that same video was sent, obviously it's travelled, you know, because people are still sharing it regardless of their outrage. And where the positive spin came on it is that it was shared on Atlanta Black Star, which is a huge American platform for African Americans, and also another one, the name evades me, another huge platform. And you know, again, so there she was able to actually benefit from the positive spin on it, because the actual Atlanta Black Star, they actually understood the reason why she done that, the concept, and actually understood that it was a test, and just showing that racism is taught. It is not an inherent thing or a natural thing. You just come out and you just, you know, discriminate against another person. So well done to Joy on that. It just, I think it also speaks to the fact that there's a lot of work to do culturally within our black community here in the UK or in Europe, you know, in terms of how we actually perceive things, how we receive things, and how we respond or react to things, hence the need for this video. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Some of our tips, so remember to think, decipher and respond, and if you are going to respond positively. Do not say said brand name, you're just giving them more airtime and going to definitely contribute to making them go viral. And also leveraging, you know, putting a positive spin on it and sharing black alternatives that are doing just as great work, you know, producing amazing clothes or whatever the case may be. So yeah, so that's basically it. Anything you want to add, Nicola?
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. And we should definitely do this again, hopefully one day live from the comfort of our living rooms. But this has been fun, and we hope you've enjoyed.
And we hope to see you on Thursday, the 28th of February from 6:30 p.m. at the KARIBU Club. Is that right?
Yeah, KARIBU Education Centre.
KARIBU, yeah. So
that's 7 Gresham Road, and that is in Brixton, opposite the Brixton Police Station, and that's London SW9 7PH. You can get your tickets on justtickets.com, that's JUS-tickets.com, and that's just £7 in advance, and it's going to be more on the door. So I hope to see you there. We're going to be having conversations about black love in business, you know, sort of hosted by some couples who are not only married but also in business together. We'll be also talking about black love in communication, which is obviously not key, it is everything.
Yeah.
Also black love languages, absolutely. And black love also in media representation and social media, as we've touched upon today. And also black love, of course, in relationships. So just to stress that it's, you know, if you're single and you're thinking, oh, this looks interesting, but it's, you know, it's just for couples, absolutely not. There is a point of value for all of us to learn, and actually we want to have a well-rounded discussion with everybody, so that includes you.
Yes.
So hope to see you down there.